Hello YouTube and welcome to a new toy review. This episode is about obscure vintage toys from the Conan the Adventurer cartoon series. I found these two Conan figures online recently and I was intrigued. I bought them, I wanted to see how they looked, and I thought they were cool enough to make a review about them. So these were produced by Hasbro in 1992, according to the stamp on the back of their legs. And I don't know if you remember the Conan the Adventurer cartoon, this one.
Conan, the adventurer. Conan, warrior without fear. He's more powerful than any man. His legend spreads across the land and sea.
I certainly did not. I don't think I've ever seen any episodes of this show, even though it doesn't look too bad. But what I remember these guys from is the show called Action League Now, which was kind of an obscure kids show when I was growing up that I kind of liked. I think it was hilarious. The whole show was shot with action figures, and this guy was one of the main characters actually. Even though he was recolored, he had blonde hair in the show and his clothes were removed. His superpowers were that he was super strong and super naked, and his name was The Flash.
Action League, now starring The Flash. He's super strong and super naked. Thunder Girl, she flies like thunder. Stinky Diver, a former Navy commando with an attitude as bad as his odor. And Meltman, with the power to melt.
So this is actually the real action figure they based the character Flash on, and when I found this out, I just had to have him in my collection. And to tell you the truth, when I bought it, I thought, well, they obviously look like figures from the Masters of the Universe line, so I thought, well, this will be a nice addition for my Masters of the Universe collection, but unfortunately, this guy turns out to be way too tall for He-Man, so it doesn't really look that good with the Masters of the Universe toys, unless you play him as a giant character or something like that. He's way too big. So the scale of the figures is sort of weird. They obviously belong more with the 6-inch toy figures, which is strange considering they came out in 1992 and the 90s was more about 5-inch scale, I think. So for an action figure in the 90s they were considered quite big, but unfortunately because they look really cartoonish, they don't really fit well with the current 6-inch toy lines, so it's not really going to work. But the scaling is not the only weird thing going on with these figures. The articulation is sort of weird too. You can move the arms around and you have an elbow joint, but it only bends in like this. And you would think maybe that's because they had accessories with like two-handed swords that they could hold. Well, no. Because if you look at this, they couldn't hold any two-handed weapons unless it's a nunchuck, but not swords, definitely not. So I really don't see why they gave them these weird elbows that only bend this way and not forward. But for some reason they did. Legs move, they can kind of sit down, and they have a wider range of movement backwards, and that's it. And I have to mention that they are posed in this kind of weird squatting position that sort of mimics the Masters of the Universe toys from 10 years earlier. But I have to tell you that the Masters of the Universe did a way better job, because as you can see, it's not easy to make them stand. And even if you do, you will end up looking with a figure that stands in this weird position. It's not really that good. I mean, I get it, it was supposed to be dynamic and stuff, but I think it just looks weird and unnatural. Sculpting is nice. I kind of like the face, even though he has a very baby face structure going on, especially if you look at it from the side. He looks like a little kid with a big black wig on his head. And of course he has a standard muscular Masters of the Universe type of body. Some nice detailing going on with the gold here, also on the other hand. But this loincloth looks very weird, and I mean, yeah, I get it, they tried to make it a little bit more detailed, but then again, Masters of the Universe did this 10 years before and it looked way better. And what's up with the red boots? It looks weird too. You might be wondering what this port on the back is for, and I was too. First I figured it must be something like the Thundercats figure had on their back. When you had this weird battery thingy and then you touched it and the figure's eyes lit up, but if I touch it nothing happens, and the eyes don't lit up definitely. It's not like they even can. So eventually I figured with this other variant, because this one has a rope kind of like Woody from Toy Story, and I figured it's the same port, only this one is missing the rope, so probably he does the same. If you pull the rope, he thrashes with his arm. So obviously this must look a little bit better with a sword in hand, but I don't have any accessories with them, so I guess I will never know. This variant has more detailing going on. He has the same kind of baby face, but it's covered with this sash, I don't know, hat. Unfortunately it's all one color, so the details are not really, well, they are nicely sculptured, but they are not really well painted. He has this nice silver belt going on, but none of these little details on his arm are painted. And it just has this weird primary colors like red, yellow and blue, which really makes it look like a McDonald's toy. Even though if you look a little bit more closer, you will see some pretty nice detailing on it. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer that they didn't give him a little bit more paint applications. He would look that much nicer, I think. So thank you for watching my review about these weird little obscure action figures. I hope you liked it, and who knows, I will try to make some more if I find some more interesting figures. So stay tuned. Bye bye.